Welcome and good morning. Thanks for coming back to Mike Ferry TV. If you remember last week, we spent the time talking about what I call the original Mike Ferry Sales System. And you know it. You've been through it with me 1,000 times. The time management, prospecting, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. When I'm dealing with top producing agents, which I'm very lucky that I get to deal with a lot of top producing agents, they go beyond starting over again each day. What? Manage your time. Do some prospecting, lead follow-up, pre-qualifying, listing presentation, showing presentation, obviously handling objections, closing the sale, negotiating contracts, starting over again. You have to go beyond that to build a big business. So what I work with the top agents on are the second half of the Mike Ferry Sales System. As we prepare for 2015, I thought this would be a good time to prepare you for the second half of the Mike Ferry Sales System, or the second half of how you're going to build 2015 to be your greatest year ever. So what I want to do is go through the second half of the Mike Ferry Sales System. So the first point in the second half is dealing effectively with your past clients and your centers of influence. How well do you deal with them? I'm amazed at how often I'll talk to an agent who's considered to be very good, and I'll say, how big is your database? Well, it's 500 names. How often do you talk to those people? I don't really talk to them ever. I don't really like them. They don't like me. Wait a minute. You've got 500 past clients that don't like you. You may have done something wrong, or you're just abusive and you don't think that you should ever call them back. Your database, your past client centers of influence, are the one asset that can grow annually and pay you annually. So we talk a lot about your ability to correspond, to deal with, to cultivate, and get business out of your past client centers of influence. Number two, your ability to price property. How good are you at pricing property? Are you pricing property so they sell, or are you pricing property so you can get a listing? Those are two different issues. They have nothing to do with each other. Pricing property to get a property to sell. I've always said a lot of agents price property to get a listing, and then they can brag about the fact they have a listing. Wait a minute. The job is to brag about the fact that you made a sale. The listing sold, that the seller is moving on. Somebody has bought that property. So pricing property becomes a critical part of what you're going to do to build a large business. Number three is our ability to handle the administration of the transaction and staffing in our office if we choose to have staff. How good are you at processing a transaction? How much time are you spending in processing a transaction? If you have staff, are they well recruited, well trained? Are they monitored, held accountable? Are they doing their job? Or are you looking over their shoulder all the time and doing their job for them? Because the administration staffing is a critical part of the Mike Ferry Sales System, because anybody that's going to do 30, 40, 50, 75, 100 plus transactions a year is going to have very, very strict guidelines for administration and for staffing. And then number four is your customer service beliefs. What are your beliefs about customer service? When a transaction is completed, do they go, thanks, you did a great job. You got our home sold. You found us a home. Or do they say, thank goodness this transaction's over with you. I hope I don't have to see you again. Well, that's the customer service side. Do you realize we've got customers that we're working with today that we've been working with for almost 40 years? Agents and brokers. I've been doing this work coming up on my 40th year, virtually in a few months. We have customers we've had that long. And we always work with them and treat them with respect, because, see, in customer service, the more you treat them with respect, the more you get back in return. Number five is our ability to plan. How well do you plan? How well do you make plans? Do you have any plans? Do you have plans for what you want to accomplish, what you want to do, where you want to go, how you want to get there? See, I wrote down a simple thought. I work with big brokers, and they always are working on big planning items. How big are the plans that you have? Well, Mike, if I could just do again next year what I did this year, that doesn't take a lot of planning. That's just going back and repeating history. Planning is a critical part, or step number five in the second half of the Mike Ferry Sales System. Our ability to track our numbers and understand them is a big factor in growing your business. The ability to understand numbers and to track them. How many appointments will you go on this year, listing-wise? How many listings will you take? Why do you take 40% instead of 60% or 70%? What is the hang up? Okay, how many contacts do you make per day? How many days do you invest in some type of prospecting? Do you track who you talk to? Do you track the numbers that you talk to? Do you track anything you do? And do you understand those numbers? Because see, if you're listing 6 out of 10, 4 commission checks are going someplace else. You're handing commission checks to other people because of your inability to be as persuasive as you want to be. Watch, I got to tell you, tracking and understanding your numbers is critical to the Mike Ferry Sales System. Number 8, continually working on strengthening your mindset. I don't care how strong you are and how good you are and how much time you feed great thoughts into your head. There's days when everything is upside down, everything is wrong, and you wish that you had never heard the words real estate in your life. It's called normal. But how long do you let that last? How long do you let that kind of a mindset affect what you're going to do the day after tomorrow and the day after tomorrow and the day after tomorrow? Because the mindset is the name of the game. And then, of course, number 9 in the second half, goal setting and motivation. I'm going to talk about this next week to you, so I'm going to let that go for right now. Number 10, money management and profitability. If you're going to go out and do whatever volume you're going to do, 30, 50, 100 transactions, and you have all this income and you can't manage it and you can't become profitable, what's the point? You know, if you're making $10,000 a month and spending $8,000 a month on promotion and marketing and advertising and your mailings and your staff, what's the point of making $2,000? If you're going to make $10,000 a month, I want you to put $8,000 in your pocket. It's managing your money so you can become long-term successful and not get burned out on volume that leads to no income. And then, of course, your business systems, which are critical. Do you have any systems in place whatsoever? Do you have a system in place when a listing is taken? Do you have a system in place when a lead is secured? Do you have a system in place for preparing the pre-listing package that should be done for you before you go out? Do you have a system in place when it comes back in with a signed contract on a listing sold or by a controlled sale? And then, of course, last is understanding the different personality styles. We could spend days on this. It's one of my favorite topics. I love to talk about it because everybody breaks down into 4 categories: driver, expressive, amiable, analytical. And we're all one of those 4. And it's our ability to understand which one we are and to ask questions of the people we talk to so we can understand who they are, so we can very quickly become versatile enough to be on their side and get a contract signed, versus the fact that most agents can only deal with people like themselves. So you can see when you look at this list, we say, okay, now watch carefully. I got to deal effectively past client centers of influence. I have to price property. I have to handle the administration and staffing. I have to have good customer service beliefs. I have to have an ability to plan what I'm going to do. I have to track my numbers, understand them. I have to go ahead, and I forgot to mention, practice your skills on a regular basis. Of course, work on managing your time set, goal setting and motivation, next week's topic. Money management, profitability, your business systems, understanding personality. The truth is the Mike Ferry Sales System is 22 defined steps. Just think about this. Each week, work on one of those. So therefore, if we start that January 1st, halfway through the year, we'll start over again and look at these again. You can't look at them too often. You can't be too good at them. You can't spend too much time studying how to perfect the Mike Ferry Sales System, which then becomes your sales system. You know, the Bill Smith Sales System and the Jane Smith Sales System, not the Mike Ferry Sales System at all. It becomes part of who you are, what you do. Let's make it happen. I'm excited about next week. Goal setting and motivation for 2015.